Yeah.
Shivam, I think we can start the session.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, in this session, you all will get to know about what Git is and what is GitHub. So, and by the end of this session, you will be able to contribute to any open source project that is there on GitHub or GitLab or any other platforms like GitHub. And also, you can manage your own, put a version control on your own projects and collaborate with your fellow teammates for your own project. So starting with Git, basically, if you want to download Git, you can just type it in the website in any browser, and basically the first website, this Git SCM, you can download from here, depending on your operating system. And for Windows, you can then open your terminal and you can get started. For Mac and Windows, it's called Terminal, and whereas for Windows, it will be Command Prompt or PowerShell. So for the session, I will be using Wrap. So this is basically a terminal, but basically it has features like autocomplete and stuff. So just wait a second.
Can't you just project the entire screen to your this thing instead of a window? Hi, Shivam. I think you are on mute.
Yeah. So now I hope you can see the screen, and we'll start on with the session. So we are in our project Git session, and on this is the terminal, and on the right side you can see the Git session in Finder. So everything, if we create any file or anything, you can see it right here. So the first thing which we will be doing is we have to initialize an empty Git repository, which is done through the command Git. And yeah, before you get started, you need to check whether Git is installed in your system. which you can do by git hyphen hyphen version. So mine is the 2.39.3 version, which is basically what's pre-installed in Apple. So to initialize an empty Git repository, we just do git init. Now, so an empty Git repository has been initialized. Now, as you can see, you cannot see anything here in the Finder. And even if you type the ls command to list everything that is there, you'll find that nothing is there. But it's a hidden folder, which is because basically starts with a dot. So ls, when you type this command, you can get to see that there is a Git repository there. And you can also see what is there in this folder. So when we see there's a head description, we'll come to what is head, and eventually as we add stuff into it, there will be more files which will be added to this repository. So first of all, we'll create index.html file. So you can see that on the right side an index.html file has been created. Now, when you check git status, so basically anything, any change that has been made in the project, git project will appear here, and you can see it using git status. So it is telling us that there's an untracked file by the name of index.html. Now it is untracked because we have not put it on the staging area yet. So before we commit any file to Git, we need to put it in the staging area. And the reason this is important because we do not want to commit all the files of our project. Now, in most of the cases, we do commit all the files in our project, but in some cases, like when we have API keys and stuff, we don't want to commit the entire project because then the API key will be public, which is not a very secure thing, and others will be able to use your API key, which can create a lot of problems. So therefore, we'll add it to the staging area. When we use git add dot, all the files in the project are added to the staging area, or we can simply do git add index.html. So we can add them by the names also. So I'll just use this one. And now if we see git status, yeah. So now when we do git status, we can see that these changes are to be committed, and we can see there's a new file index.html. So when you are starting with Git, I would recommend that you do git status after you use every git command, because it helps you get to know how Git is actually working. Because if you're just typing the commands, you don't know where you made the error. So you can just check git status and see what is happening inside. So in the beginning, it's really helpful. So now we can commit it. So the commit command is used to commit the things that are in the staging area. And we also need to add a message. Now this thing is important because others need to know what is there, why this commit was done. So index.html file was created. So now when others or even you check the commits, you'll know which commit, which changes were made. So when you need to roll back, let's say some error occurred in the project and you need to go back a few commits, so you know where to go back. So that's why these messages are really important, and it's important to write meaningful messages for these. So we can see we committed it. Now when we do git status, we see the working train is clean because nothing is there in the staging area and no changes has been made. So also we can see all the commits using git log. So we can see index.html file was created and author is showing as local because we are not yet pushing it to any remote project on GitHub. Later it will change when we are actually contributing to a project on GitHub. And this is the hash key. So basically we can use this hash key to go to any commit back. So which is a really helpful thing. So I'll go through this again. So once this command was used to create the index.html file, and then uh, we need to add it to the staging area. So think of staging area as a place where you put your files before committing them actually. So you only want to commit the files which you want to show in your GitHub, or you want to be committed. Anything which is private or like API keys or stuff, you do not want to commit them. So therefore, you won't even add them to the staging area, and therefore it is better to add them to the staging area by their name, because if you just add, you have the habit of using git add dot, you might accidentally add files which you should not add. Like if you're using Android and you're using Firebase with it, there's a firebase.config file, and if you accidentally do git add dot, then all your Firebase details, how your API key will be added to your project, and anybody can use it and tamper it with your existing Firebase database. So it is important to make sure that you don't do that. And once it is in the staging area, they can be committed. So unless we bring the files to the staging area, we cannot commit them. So once this, like after this get add index.html, we have an index.html on the staging area, and then we can commit it using the commit command. And this is for the message. So this is the message which we add. The message which we are adding needs to be within these double quotations, and preceded by a dash m command. So when you commit anything, they will record. They will. So since I was already logged into, my email address and name were already used to commit these changes. Otherwise, you need to add your username and your password. As of now, GitHub has stopped using the password thing, and you need to generate a personal token access for committing, which I'll show it to you. So if you want to, instead of password, you need to go to your account, and then you need to go to settings, and here there will be developer settings, and then you can go to personal access tokens and token classics, and then you can generate a new token. And so basically it will ask for your password. So after that, you can add a note why you are using this token, and then basically you can select what the token has access to do. So mainly you might not want to add some admin privileges, and then and if you're not using gist, you don't need to add the gist and all that. And if you're not using code palette or code space, you do not take this, and then you can generate a new token. And then let's say temp token, and then you can generate a token. So this is how you generate a token. Now coming back to it, so and git log is a command which we use to see all the previous commits that have been made. So using git log, we can get the hash ID of every commit, and once we get the hash ID of commit, we can use them to go back to any commit, which we will see in the upcoming session. So now we can, let's say we want to modify the index file. So vi index.html. So we'll insert some basic HTML code in it. So this is basically we can add anything, but just for the sake of completion, I'm just adding a basic HTML code. This is Vim, so you can use Notepad or VS Code or your favorite text editor, but this works just fine. Yeah, so we have added the HTML code, and then we'll confirm that we are writing it. Yes. So now if we see, we can double click it, index.html. Yeah, so this is empty as of, wait, Okay, so better we can open it using text edit. Wait, we need to change the extension before opening it. So instead we can just do this. Since it's an HTML file, so it was opening in the browser. So we will just use cat index.html. So now we can see that all these changes have been made. So since we have done the necessary changes, we will add it to the staging area. Every time we do make a change to our project, we need to add the change files to the staging area before we actually commit them. This is a very important step, and like you cannot skip this one. So we are adding now using GitHub, we are adding index.html to the staging area. Now when we check git status, we see that these are the changes to be committed, and since it has already been added to the staging area, now what we'll do is we will commit this change. So git commit is to commit, and dash m is to add a message. So basic HTML code was added. Yeah. So basically we can see this has been done. So yeah, now if you go back, we go back to git log, we can see that here index.file was created and basic HTML code was added. So now let's say we remove index.html. So this is a Linux command to, or a Unix command to remove, delete a file. So we'll delete this file, and now you can see in the right side that that file has been deleted. So now maybe you thought that the index.html file is not needed, and you accidentally deleted it, and then you added it, and then you basically committed the change. So index.html file was deleted. So now when we go to git log, we can see everything that has happened. So now you'll be like, this was an error, which happens in when you are actually doing this. In projects, sometimes you delete a file or you do a change which you don't want to do. So now this change does not necessarily needs to be a deletion. Maybe you remove some code from this index.html and you want to go back to the previous commit. In any case, we can use this. We first use git log and we check the hash ID of the commit to which we want to go back to. So basically here we want to go back to the commit where the basic HTML code was added. So we cannot remove any commit from between. We can only go back to some a particular commit. So we want to go back to this commit. So what we'll do is we'll go copy the hash code of this commit, and any commit above it will be removed. So git reset, and then we'll paste the hash ID and unstaged commit. So we can check git log now. So now there are only two commits. So also then we can just do, and then we can put this change to a stash. Yeah, so now our index.html file is back, and so yeah, it was a pretty so I'll go through what we did again. So first we accidentally removed our index.html file. So and then we committed the change that index.html file was deleted. Now the problem was the index.html file was actually a useful file and it should not have been deleted. So we go use the git log command to check the hash code of the commit which we need to go back to. So every time we commit a random hash code is generated which we can use to go back to any of the commit which we want. So now I want the code to be as it was on Tuesday, October at 7:16 p.m. So I'll just copy this hash code and then I'll use git reset command and go back to that particular commit. So after this, we can see use the git. When we use the git log command, after that we check that this is the latest commit because the head is at the main. So we'll come back to what is this main branch is. As of now, just think we are committing to main branch. So we'll come back to it later. And so we went back to the part where basic HTML code was added. So now after that, the file was still deleted. So we add that deleted thing to the staging area. And once it is on the staging area, we can put it in stash area. Now, why did we put it on stash and why did we not delete it? We did not remove it completely. Is because we wanted to see what happens. Let's say I'm working on some feature, but some priority changes comes in. So what will I do if I'll put my current changes, I'll stage my current and put them in stash. So which we can work on later, and then I'll do the priority change and then I'll commit it and then I'll think of what I need to do of the stash thing. So now you are not sure whether there might be a scene that index.html file actually needs to be deleted. So we just put it in the stash for the current time, and then we see this index.html is back, and we can see everything inside it is also there. So now, if we want to get the changes which we did back from the stash area. So we'll just use the command git stash pop. Whenever we are using git stash, the stash area, we use the stash command. When we are only using git stash, we put item our staging area to the stash area. When we are using git stash pop, we are getting items back from the stash area to the actual working space. So when we pop it, the index.html file is deleted again, but we do not want that scene. So we stash it again because we do not want it to be deleted. So index.html file is back, and then we can clear the stash area because we no longer need it. We are sure that we need the index.html file. Yeah, so going through what happened again is we went back to our previous commit and then we added the changes and we added it to the staging area. Then we added the changes to the stash, and after adding it to the stash, we got back our index.html file and even the content inside it. And then we thought we were just seeing what happens when what is in the stash, and to check whether it was actually necessary, we popped the stash again. But then we came to the conclusion that we actually need to delete this file. So we put it to the stash again, and then we cleared the stash. So now if we go back to git log, we see there are only 2 commits and our file is there with all its content in it. So in this way, if you accidentally make an error in your project, you can just go back to any commit, and if you go back to any commit, all the commits above it will be removed. So just to show, yeah, so we went back to this commit. So all the commits above this were this one, and we see that it was removed. So since we went back to this commit, as we can see, we pasted this one. If we would have gone back to this commit, both of these commits would have been removed. So in this way, we can go back to any version of our project. So if let's say there's a website hosted online and I make a change to that website, what will happen is since that code is used currently, the website will some error will happen and the website will go crash or something. So once we know that the website is crashing, what we'll do is we'll go back to the previous stable commit. So in this way, we do not waste our time. So this saves a lot of money. Let's say Amazon makes the changes and which results in the crashing of the website. Now, if they're not able to, we cannot do controls at all the time, right? So it will take a lot of time to for Amazon to figure it out what the problem was, and they can lose a lot of revenue because of that error. So instead of that, they'll just go back to the previous commit, and in just matter of seconds, the website will be back online in a working condition. So that's why this commit thing and going back is important. So now we'll see how we add it to the actual working project. So we'll go back to, we'll open GitHub. So we can go to your repositories and create a new repository. So we will just keep this name as temporary repo. So basically now you will be like, what is a repository? So a repository is basically a folder. Just you can imagine it as a folder. So description is optional. So I'll keep it private, and we can add a README file. Yeah. So and so create repository. Yeah. So our repository is added, and this readme.md file is one of the most important file in the all projects of GitHub. So whenever you go to an actual project, you will see this. So let's go to some actual project, like let's say TensorFlow. Hmm. Search all of the Tensor. Search all of it. Huh? So TensorFlow is basically a ML library by Google. So if you come down, we can see that there's this is the readme.md file. So using this file, you'll get to know what the project is about. And when you want to go and contribute to an actual project on GitHub, you'll have to read all the instructions that are being given here and how to set up the project and even contribution. That if we are now, since our README file is not public, we do not need to make a good README file because only we are using this, so we know what's in there and what to do with it. So git remote add origin, then we'll basically copy this link, and then we'll push the changes, push origin May. Now okay, great. Git remote dash add wait a second. So basically, actually, what error happened here is that we did not actually put add the original clearly. I think some otherwise. Just wait a second. Or we can go here and settings. So origin contains some other command, and because of that, we were accessing some other uh, GitHub repository. Git remote set URL origin. Then we will paste this, and then we'll git push origin. Okay, wait. Git pull origin. I think because we created this readme file, we'll first just create another repository. That will be better. Repo and private, and we won't add a readme this time. Creating repository. We'll add origin. Then we paste the URL. Okay, we already did this, so we do not need to do that. Git push origin. Git branch dash git push origin. Yeah, so we needed to force push this actually because some error was happening. Yeah, so our index.html has been added to the temp repo. Now, the thing is, in, so basically, since many people work on the same project at the same time, uh, what will okay, so I'll just see one of the errors. So someone is has added that touch, the term touch is not recognized as the name of cmdlet. So I think this error is occurring because you are using it in a Windows, and in Windows touch command might not be recognized. So for that, you can just create, right click and create a file named index.html. It is the same thing. So we can create another branch from here, or we can create a new branch from here. So git branch. So since I'll be pushing more changes, so I'll create a bunch of my name, and then git checkout Shivam. So I'll shift to switch to. Now let's say I create another file, touch styles dot css. So now this has been created. If you are not able to use the touch command in your system, just right click and create a new text file and rename it as style.css. It's the same thing. Now we can check status. Now we see that this is an unpacked file. So since we need to add it to our online project, we will we actually want the staging area. So now for the staging area, we'll check the Git status, and we can see that now Git is tracking these files. So every file that is on the staging area is being tracked. So now we will commit this change and git commit dash m styles.css file created. Yeah. So now we can see the git log. Now, yeah. So this is important thing. So now you can see, now you might think that since you have pushed created these changes, you go back to this and you'll check, and then you find we still don't have the thing yet. So because the origin is still head and the head has moved to this Shivam. So to do that, we'll do git push origin is the name of URL. So by default, name of the URL, which is on our own which is our own repository origin. And yeah, so before I do a pull request, I'll show you what branches are. So you can even check this website out, learn Git branching. So it after coming here, you can basically see how Git branching and stuff works. So if you do a git commit, we see another commit has been added. So it is naming commits as C1, C2. So git commit, we do it again. Now let's say we create another branch. So git branch Shivam. So another branch has been created. Now you can see that beside main there is an asterisk, which means that we are committing the changes to the main branch and we are at the main branch. And but we now want to use the Shivam branch, and I'll explain you the reason behind that. So we can switch branches using the checkout command. So checkout Shivam. Now the asterisk is on the Shivam branch, and when we do any commit, it will appear on this Shivam branch. So now the main is still there, but the Shivam branch has moved forward. So let's say we do another commit. And let's say then we move back again to the main, git checkout main. Main is by default the branch is main, and then we do another git commit. Yeah, so you can see that we have a different now the main branch is different and the Shivam branch is different. Now this is important because if you are working on a project and you want to add a new feature, you do not want to disturb the main branch. And if you it's open here. Okay, no problem. We'll just search it. So basically let's say we open same example, we'll take off the TensorFlow library. TensorFlow search. Yeah, so we come here, and here we can see that there are many branches. So people just name it blah blah anything. So nightly, and usually we name it in the form of patch or the version forms. So here you can see, basically, if you go to all the branches, you can see how many numerous branches are there. So this is the master branch or the main branch. They're basically the same thing. So this is the code that is at the master branch is the code that is being used by people. Now let's say you want to add a new feature, you change it, and now the people are not being able to use your library because there is an error. So you don't want your new feature to you want to first thoroughly test your new feature before adding it. So therefore we keep 2 3 branches. So if I'm adding a new feature, I'll first put it on Shivam branch, see if it works. Now if it works, I'll just merge uh, Shivam. Now the feature has been added to the main branch. So in this way, we make sure that any change, any adding of a new feature do not affect the existing code. So which is what every library everyone does. So now we can see that here are 2 branches, main and Shivam. Now we can see that we pushed had recent push less than few minutes ago. So we'll compare and do a pull request. So we'll see what the changes were there. And here we can see that an empty file has been added. If some code was there, it would have shown here. Then we'll create a pull request. Now this is from our end. So this is so now there is no conflicts. So once there are no conflicts, we can merge the pull requests. And once we merge the pull request has been closed, and we can go back to and we can see the changes has come to the main branch. So this way we keep the main branch safe, and we just add, let's say 5 people are working in your project, so everyone will push changes to their own branch, and once we find that the feature is actually working, we'll pull it to the main branch by creating a pull request. Now, the thing is, this was what we did for our project. Let's say we want to contribute to another project. Similar example we'll take is TensorFlow. Now, since TensorFlow is not your repository, you cannot push it because you won't have access. Imagine people randomly pushing changes to the TensorFlow library. It will basically no open source project will be able to work if you can push changes to other people's repository. So for security purpose, you do a forking. Now we can see how many people have forked it. The more number of people fork it, 1,000 people have forked this repository and are contributing to this, which is a very big number. So we'll fork it. So this is available, and create fork. So it takes a few seconds because we are forking the entire TensorFlow library to our own account. So now we can see that this is a TensorFlow library in our own project. Now sometimes what happens is since we create a copy at the current time, after let's say few days, there will be changes in the original TensorFlow library. So we'll just use a sync fork command. We'll just click this and it will be synced with the main. Now since we have create a fork, what we can do is, let's say this is a Git session. Let's say we go back. So we go back and then we create a new. So main bit TensorFlow contribution. So something like that. You can name it anything. Then we go to that folder. Now once we are in that folder, we will use the command git clone. So we'll just copy this and we'll paste it here. So it takes some time because we are cloning the entire project into our local repository. So we can also see the speed here, 20 Mbps, which is pretty good. It will take some time. And meanwhile, yeah, we can see. So we will we will clone the to the and make push start changes. We'll just create a pull request similar to what we did here, and that should do job. So It's a big project, so 850 MBs. So we'll have to, yeah. So basically, yeah. So we cannot create fork because this is our own. Okay. And even in the HTTPS thing, we can see that this TensorFlow thing is in our own project. So this is how. So before contributing to any project of your own choice, you can create a branch, and then you can contribute to it. Now it may the case that TensorFlow is not there in GitHub. So in that case, you go to there where they host their projects, like in GitLab, and almost all the steps are similar there. So you don't need to worry about that. And yeah, so we have done this. Then we can go to the TensorFlow folder. We can see all the files. So we can see how many folders are there, all the readme.md files and stuff. So let's say we want to make a change to the readme.file. Now, uh, we had changes uh, made by Shivam Sharma. Now we save this. After that, we can do git push origin. Let's say for okay, we'll create a branch and then get checkout and then git push origin. Now when we refresh this one, okay, yeah, so basically we need to go change the branch. We'll see whether the changes were made. Yeah, so it was made and get status. Yeah, we didn't add that actually. Changes uh, .md modified. Then after we have modified it, now we check the git log. So we can see that changes were made. Yeah. So now we do a git push. Yeah. Now we'll refresh this thing. Yeah. Now we can see that in the license we can see some changes were made by Shivam Sharma. Now this the thing to notice that this changes we made is in our own copy of the TensorFlow library, so it won't affect the TensorFlow library. Then we can compare a pull request and they will see whether they need to accept the changes or not. So obviously let's change and so like why do we need this even? So yeah, so you can do changes to open source project, fix bugs and stuff. Now if you will go to the TensorFlow, can we see it here? No, we need to go to the main one. So now you will say, okay, we got to know how we can contribute to the project, but how do we actually know what to do? So since it's a huge project, we cannot whole code of many open source project like Linux and all. Even Linus Torvalds himself does not know the full code of Linux. So the thing is, what we do is we use, and if you are new to it, then you can see the type. It's a feature or support or a bug. So usually we should. Everyone has their own way of and search issues like what was- wait, their naming convention might be different. Or so yeah, let's say you want to most and you can if you want to solve some bugs you can go search type bugs and then using these labels you can see all the bugs and then you can go and so since this has not been assigned to anyone, you can basically write something and say that you want to take up this project. And after you have taken it up, you can work on it and you can give a pull request. If you go to some already working on it, but here no one is working. So as long as no one is working, you can put up a comment and you can say that you want to work on that particular project, and it will be assigned to you. Once it is assigned to you, need to make sure that you do not spend a lot of time on it, and you do it, and then you give a pull request. It is important to ask them to assign the issue to you because maybe you are working on some issues and before you completed that issue you find that somebody has already been assigned that issue, so basically your work is not like it went into vain. So make sure that you ask projects to you. Try not to go to the hard stuff, look for good first issues or something, so in that which is like we can you can go check from examples. So if you want to solve the iOS issues, you can go ahead. If you want to do some Python things because you know Python, you can go ahead. So in this way, you can choose your issues using label, then make the changes, and let's say like we'll go to our repositories and this TensorFlow, then make changes, then so now when we go to this Shivam branch, we can see that the changes were actually done. You can also go to the file and see the changes and then you can compare and pull request. So yeah, this was all, and I hope you really enjoyed this session. And one last thing, we have also added this Git cheat sheet in the uh, website, so you can go and download it. All the important commands are there, and you can have a brief idea about it. One more thing I would like to add is in GitHub, it is important that you keep using it. Let's say you are working, you're learning DSA, so every time you do a new code, you add it to your own GitHub. In that way, you will remember all the commands because even after learning GitHub, people forget it because they do not use it, and the commands are a bit difficult to remember. So yeah, this was all. For Q&A sessions, or is it open?